We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We've got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government.
Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your weekdaily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin. Guys, we've got a lot to talk about today because, as you know, Bitcoin went through a major correction and dropped all the way down to the $20,000 region, dropped down to around $19,400 over the last few days. And ever since then, Bitcoin has actually managed to go through a major bounce, and that's encouraging because many of the price targets that we had on Bitcoin were sub $19,200, pointing all the way down to as low as $17,000, and ultimately Bitcoin has actually managed to bounce quite substantially. We've rallied over $3,000 over the weekend. We're trading at $2,200 and change, and right now we've got to ask ourselves the question, is this a sustainable rally? Is this a rally that Bitcoin can really take and ride to the moon, or has Bitcoin actually just gone ahead and kind of instituted a corrective movement to the upside? Has Bitcoin actually begun a solid, strong new uptrend, or has Bitcoin just had a small corrective bounce that will fade off into nothing? That is the question on the docket for today, and we're going to dive straight on into that. If you guys do enjoy today's video, I want you to do a couple of things. First and foremost, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the post notification bell so you won't miss a single stream or video. How about that video that went up on Saturday? You guys tell me if you liked it, how the Fed is making $17 trillion vanish. If you have not seen that video, I think you would really enjoy it. So make sure you go back on the channel. It's about 15 minutes long. I really had a lot of fun with it. After the baby's here, I'm hoping to be able to put out about 2 to 3 of those videos out a week, but right now we're putting one out a week because we've got some exciting news, and that is that it seems like she could be coming any time now. For any of you guys who have been following this channel, you'll know that my wife and I are pregnant with our second, and it's been a kind of a difficult pregnancy because my wife has hyperemesis, so she gets really weak from pregnancy. So it's been difficult on her, but we're really excited because now our little daughter is probably going to be here relatively soon. We're 34 and a half weeks or so, and there's good reason to believe that she might be coming a couple of weeks early. Now, we're kind of past the point where her coming early is a big threat to her health, but it does mean that we had maybe about a month or so to prepare. Now we probably have more like a week. So we could be wrong in that. We could totally be wrong, but there are certain signs that I'm not going to go into that are pointing to the idea that she could be coming within just the next 7 to 14 days, maybe even tomorrow for all I know, maybe today for all I know. So at any point, you might not see a stream one day and just see a Twitter post that says, hey, I'm a father of 2 now, which I've been a father of 2 for, 8 months now. But anyway, that she's here. Enough personal stuff, though. Let's get back into the stream. Just want you guys to know kind of what's going on behind the scenes because a few things are going to change when she gets here, but I think eventually you're going to end up seeing even more content, even more videos after that because we've got a lot of prep work to do to get ready for a little human being to come on the scene. But let's go ahead and read some chat. Then we'll jump straight on into our technical analysis. As you guys know, this is the #1 stream in the entire YouTube space for technical analysis, and I've been doing technical analysis on the cryptocurrency markets for over 5.5 years now. I started doing this back in July 31st of 2017, so that's coming up on 6 years now, and it has been an extremely enjoyable, fun 6 years, and I've learned so much, and I've managed to build a financially sovereign life for myself and my family, and I've managed to be able to do something that I love every single day while also being able to really watch myself and you guys grow at the same time, and that's just really amazing, and we're very, very excited about all of that. All right, let's go ahead and read some chat. We got Rocket Metal News in chat, said good morning all. We got Mike Lowry in chat, said good morning. Good morning to you, Mike Lowry. Thank you so much for being a mod and a Jebbi Knights member. Thank you to all of our green names who are the Jebbi Knights. We've got Crypto Smitty, who says he was first. He was actually third, but Crypto Smitty, we'll just go ahead and give it to you. Let's just say that you were first. You weren't because Rocket Metal News was first. We got to make sure we don't take credit from someone. But anyway, good to see you. Alex Nibo in chat said good morning. Good reason to chat, guys, and good reason to become a green name. You'll get a shout out every single day. You can hit the join button down below and become a green name by donating to the channel. Jake Theed said, what a weekend. Indeed, it was a crazy weekend. Mike Lowry said, smash the likes. Indeed. Grand Roofing Incorporated said, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Grand Roofing. Daniel J said, right now. Absolutely. Dolan J said that. Yo, Jebb has 2 kids. I have a son named Malachi who is, let's see, how old is he? He is 29 months and 11 days old. He's getting on up there. And we have a daughter who will be born probably within just the next little while. C-Trail265 also said, morning peeps, dead cat bounce. That's the question of the hour. It's a very good one. Everything is streaming an hour early. Did you guys change time? Yes, the time did change. And it was also pouring down rain outside this morning like it was cats and dogs. I was soaking wet. I had to dry my hair off so I didn't look like I had just gotten out of the pool. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump straight on into our CoinMarketCap overview because as you can see, wow, this is exciting. 10% gains on Bitcoin over the last 24 hours. Bitcoin has rallied 10% in 24 hours. That is very, very cool. We are up 1% over the last 7 days. And that's something I want you to remember, is that Bitcoin is up substantially, and it is up $3,000, $3,500 or so, and it is rallying relatively quickly, and we'll talk about why in a minute. There is some buy the rumor going on right now. However, it's not actually that much up compared to where it was 7 days ago when it was in a major downtrend. I'd like to see Bitcoin rally farther than this, and that's a tall order because Bitcoin has already rallied so far. Bitcoin has already done so well for itself ever since Friday. Because as you can see, Bitcoin bottomed out here on Friday at $19,541 at 6 a.m. We talked about that briefly on the stream that day. It's rallied $3,500, but just keep in mind, guys, that it hasn't actually really managed to rally above a whole lot of the levels that it was using as support before. This is encouraging. Don't get me wrong. I'm actually very excited about this. But there are a multitude of factors that you need to be aware of, keenly aware of, that could make this rally a little bit more difficult. Okay, Tether is sitting at $1,630 up 10 I'm sorry, Ethereum is sitting at $1,630. Everybody who's in USDT just got really excited there for a second. It's up 10.62% over the last 24 hours, up 4% over the last 7 days. Bitcoin and ETH up 35 and 33% respectively year to date, and up quite substantially over the last 90 days. Binance up 10% over the last 90 days and up 10% over the last 24 hours. So there you go. Binance had kind of flattened itself out a day ago, and now it's rallying again. Cardano sitting at 34 cents. It's up 11% and up 34% year to date. Matic is sitting in the eighth position, doing well, up 4.15% over the last 24 hours, up nearly 50% year to date. Binance USD continuing its slide on out of the top 10. It has lost even more market capitalization. You guys know we've been following this briefly. Over the last 7 days, it's moved down just slightly. Not a ton. It's moved down about $300 million. That sounds like a lot. It's really not in the grand scheme of cryptocurrency. And now it's kind of bobbling around a little bit down here around 8.3. That will likely continue to correct. Well, not correct, but crash, I suppose you could say. Solana sitting just shy of $20. It's sitting in 1982. So everybody get ready because in a couple of years, there's going to be a really good movie about time travel. Let's see. Polkadot is sitting at 8.05% to the upside over the last 24 hours. Solana's up 100% year to date, and Polkadot's up 33% year to date. Solana's actually up 94%. Nevertheless, all right, let's go ahead and jump on over to the chart so we can get a little bit more high fidelity on what's going on. Now, let's do a little bit of a history lesson for any of you guys who have been in this space. You will know that Bitcoin had a rally from $15,500 to $25,400. And it did so from absolute bottom to absolute top in the span of exactly 92 days. In just a quarter, not on a quarter, but in a quarter, Bitcoin rallied $10,000, 64%, following the most dramatic bear market that we've, of course, seen since 2018. Also, during the most tumultuous time for the geopolitical landscape and globalization and macroeconomics that Bitcoin has ever lived through. Let's paint a little bit of because the thing I like to talk about here on the channel, I like to look at the big picture and then we hone it down into a cryptocurrency. So you guys obviously care a lot about Bitcoin, you care a lot about Ethereum, you care a lot about Cardano. I get it. We talk a lot about those different cryptocurrencies. We're going to talk about Chainlink here in a few weeks, I think. There's a lot of different things I want to talk about. However, to get a proper understanding of the picture that you are looking at, you must first understand the canvas upon which it is painted. Just trying to tell you in that. Is it a mountain range? What's the artist trying to tell you in that? In cryptocurrency, it's the same thing. We can understand the subject by analyzing the cryptocurrency itself, but we also have to understand the canvas that is its backdrop. And so that's where the macroeconomics and the geopolitics and the globalization conversation come into play. We have to understand the actual drivers of Bitcoin and crypto, because a lot of people don't think about that in a piece of artwork. But in a piece of artwork, everything else that's going on in the entire frame, whether there's something there or there's nothing there and it's blank space, is all there for a reason. Like, for example, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Let me just check. If you look at my computer, it's an apple, right? Let's see if it'll focus. That's a piece of art. They did that on purpose. You see how there's literally nothing there except the Apple logo. The reason that Apple puts that logo right there, dead smack in the middle, and there's nothing else there, and you have a neutral kind of gray tone, is because that background drives your attention straight to the logo, because it's this flat gray background. There's nothing there at all, and there's one thing there, and it's their logo. It's their branding. That's the point. The subject is the apple, and you can focus on the apple and look at the nuances of how it's created and everything, but you also have to look at the background and realize the whole computer is designed to draw your attention from the artwork point of view towards that logo, because that's what they want you to focus on. And so to understand the Apple logo, you have to also understand its context. And so in crypto, to understand Bitcoin, you also have to understand its context. So what's the context here? The context is, and I've talked about this a lot, so I'll be very brief, globalization is ending. And there are people out there that think that's a good thing for the average American. And to be honest with you, of every single nation on the planet, that is probably the least bad for the average American. But that's not a good thing for you, because talk about this computer, by the way. This computer relies on freedom of navigation. This computer relies on the ability for hardware and manufacturing and supply chains to operate the world over in free seas where there's not pirates or state-sponsored, basically pirates acting on the high seas that are going to shut down international shipping. Ever since the Second World War, we've lived in an era where we just believe that we can ship something from Monaco to Moscow easily and there's no problem. We're not going to run into an issue on the seas. 80% of international shipping goes through the seas, and the United States, which was the guarantor of free shipping for at least 98% of the open waters, they're not doing that anymore. That's just one thing I haven't really talked about too much on the channel, because I don't want to repeat myself that much. I've talked a lot about Russia, Ukraine, demographics, the collapse of China, all these different things, the balance sheet, the Fed. We've got videos on those now. But all of those things coming together make this a very difficult decade for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And that's kind of the background, the landscape, if you will, the canvas that Bitcoin and crypto is trying to paint on, instead of the canvas that we saw back here. Because let's just compare and contrast the canvas that was here and the canvas that was here, because you had a little bit of a transition phase right here geopolitically, but otherwise, these are kind of the three major blocks. Here, easy money. Quantitative easing, I can even show you that very simply. The quantitative easing was through the flippin' roof. If the chart will come up. My chart doesn't want to show up. How about that? Nevertheless, we saw a huge amount of quantitative easing taking place to the tune of $5 trillion printed. That led to a massive bull market in the stock market. If you'll recall to our videos where we talked about the stock market that just went up over the last weekend, over Saturday. Stock market goes up, went up dramatically. Zero interest, massive quantitative easing, huge amounts of jobs, huge amounts of social upheaval that led to more control in the hands of the employee rather than the employer. That's something that doesn't get talked about as much on this channel. The fact that you had such a huge shift in the way that capital was moving around the world. This market was a completely different one than the market that we are in right now, than the canvas, if you will, that we're painting on right now is about to be. Because this time, we had quantitative easing, which meant a flood of trillions of dollars of liquidity, trillions with a T, of dollars of liquidity. Remember, there's only a few nations with over a $1 trillion GDP. Nations. That's how much money that is. It's a lot of money. There were trillions of dollars of inflationary activity going on. There was very low interest rates. There was a major disruption to the supply chain, and there were lockdowns which forced most people to be inside doing what? Trying to figure out how to make $100 a day online, and they found Bitcoin. Welcome to Bitcoin. You don't make $100 a day unless you really know what you're doing, but if you do know what you're doing, you can make $100,000 a day. This space over here has quantitative tightening. It has very high interest rates that are likely not going to stop anytime soon. Powell has come out and spoken on that. We're likely not going to see interest rates slow down at any point in the near-term future. We're probably going to see them continue ticking up at 0.25%. that means that the real estate market is going to go through a huge correction. For any of you guys who bought real estate, you're probably not going to want to sell it for at least 3 years because the rates are actually now at a high since last November. Mortgage rates, they're up at 7%. They're probably going to continue going up with the mortgage-backed securities being liquidated, being taken off the balance sheet, and that money being taken out of the economy, and those interest rates continuing to go up. Both of those things will likely drive mortgage rates to the upside, indicating that people will not be able to afford the same monthly payment, which means they can only afford less of a home, which will drive the value of property down, which will bring down the net worth of the average American, turning some people upside down in their loan, causing them to potentially have to default on their loan if they lose their job because of the recession that's coming. There's a lot of factors going on here, and none of them are bullish for Bitcoin in that sense. So why do I sound doom and gloom? I'm not trying to sound doom and gloom. I am trying to put a little bit of I've been here before, guys. I'm trying to put a little bit of rain on the parade. Not a lot. Like, it is dumping rain outside right now. I mean, I need to, like, after this stream, I need to go build an ark. It is raining hard right now. I don't want to put that much rain on the party because I just want to put a little bit, just remind people that, hey, when you have an event, maybe bring an umbrella. That's the kind of rain that I'm trying to bring on crypto right now, because I am excited about this rally in Bitcoin. But I've been here before. I've watched this kind of rally happen over and over and over again, and a lot of times they do lead to a lot of bullishness. But enough times they don't, and people aren't ready for it. And I would like for my audience to be ready in case something bad does happen. All right, so enough of the long-term ranting and ideology, I suppose. Not ideology, actually. No, that was ideological. That was just facts. Let's talk about the actual market. So first things first, let's look at the daily chart. This market looks pretty awful. Like, there is a nice rally here. I like to see this. What I don't like to see is this. This is actually these are two downtrends here that are very, very strong. These are very sharp downtrends, and Bitcoin can break through them. Bitcoin can break through and move to the upside, and I would be ecstatic if it did. But Bitcoin needs to break through a couple of these trend lines right here. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that if you look at Lux Algo here, and this is pretty encouraging, and this is I will just go ahead and skip towards some of the bullish side. The fact of the matter is, we have actually seen a bullish buy signal come in on Lux Algo because Bitcoin managed to rally so far so fast. We did have a hammer formation. For any of you guys in Club DeFi, you will know a hammer formation oftentimes is a bullish formation. Then we saw over the weekend, this was on Saturday, so we don't stream on that day, but it was that day. We saw the hammer formation form, which was a bullish indicator when Friday closed. It was not a hammer formation when we were live that day, but by the end of the day, it was indeed a hammer formation. Then we saw a bullish engulfing candlestick. Now, the thing that was a little bit concerning here was that this was a spinning top. If we turn off Lux Algo here for a second, you'll see that was a spinning top. So that wouldn't have given you as much confidence as you would like, but as you started to see this candlestick come in yesterday, then you would have been able to start saying, okay, looks like something's going on here. We'll have to analyze that on the shorter term timeframes. From there, Bitcoin on Sunday, remember, broke through the trend catcher turned green. We see a strong buy signal come into place today. This strong buy signal being confirmed by trend catcher and us breaking above the top of the EQ cloud is very encouraging. I want to be clear on that. It is very, very encouraging. The hard thing for me is that I want to see Bitcoin really prove itself to me, because that was a lot of bearishness. For the bulls to really prove them to me, I want to see them go up here to $25,000. Like, the fact is, Bitcoin, boom, V-bottomed. The bulls are clearly very strong right now. Just so that you know, they are clearly very strong right now. But I would still argue that I want a little bit more confirmation. We have the buy signal that is confirmed on Lux Algo daily chart. That gives me a lot of confidence. I'm very happy about that, of course. But to be as confident as I would like in this rally, I'd like to see Bitcoin go through and break above some of the levels that I will outline right now. One of the first levels that we're going to talk about here would be none other than this level right here. And this is kind of a zone, but it's basically where Bitcoin is right now. It is a zone between the local bottom set here on Thursday, February the 16th, and the local bottoms, plural, because both of them were set here, on Wednesday, February the 22nd, and Thursday, February the 23rd. That is a zone, respectively, between $23,361 and $23,590. As you can see, though, Bitcoin is attempting to break through that right now. So that is very, very exciting. I would love to see Bitcoin break through that. And there is a high possibility that it could. From there, I would like to see Bitcoin break through $24,500. That is a level that is a little bit of a general level, but it is sitting up there pretty close to the local highs. And of course, it is also a level that we did set as resistance here on the candle bodies on 4-hourly chart on Wednesday, the 22nd of February. as resistance, again, at 24.5. That's $1,000 higher than where we are now. Then, of course, us getting to $25,236, which this level is not exactly there. Let me go ahead and change the coordinates. 25,236. Getting back to 25,236 would, of course, be the coup de grace. And if we were able to break through that, then that's where we have to start talking about $28,545 again. Now, I want to be very clear with something. A trend reversal has occurred. Just to be clear, we are now in a confirmed bullish uptrend for a multitude of reasons. My job here is to help keep the FOMO, to help keep the excitement from turning into unhealthy FOMO. Because the last thing I want you to do is to go and dump your life savings into this market. And then you know what Bitcoin does? Bitcoin dumps off your life savings. That's what I don't want to see happen, because I've watched that happen so many times. I also don't want you to miss out on it. So let's just talk a little bit about strategy. What do we do with this movement? Well, the first thing we have to do with this movement is we have to realize, hey, we missed a lot of it. We're probably over halfway done with this. It's unlikely that Bitcoin's just going to moonshot meteoric rally straight to 28,545. It is possible. And if it does, there are strategies that I will explain to you that you can use to capture that movement. But let's look at the past. What did we see happen here? We saw Bitcoin fell into the reversal zone. We had a buy signal come into play right here. This buy signal was on Friday, March the 10th. We saw the trend catcher turn green. That's wonderful. We had the confirmed buy signal. Then we traded sideways out of the reversal zone, and we did not come back down and test it. Then we had this green candlestick right here that set a new local top. Boom. That's where you start saying, okay, we're going bullish. If you had Lux Algo, and if you were watching this over the weekend, then you would have been able to trade this. This is why I talk about Lux Algo so much, guys, and why you should absolutely get it. It called this entire movement. I love this indicator. This buy signal called all of this. All of it. And we went straight from the bearish reversal zone straight into the bullish reversal zone as we see right now. If you do not have Lux Algo, you have missed out on this signal. You should get it. The link is in the description box down below. Use coupon code Jebb, J-E-B-B, for 20% off at checkout. It is something you will not be sorry to have. We blasted straight through the reversals, through the EQ cloud, and just over the last couple of hours, we managed to break straight through the top of the EQ cloud. That is very encouraging as well. We're sitting at $23,600 as we speak. Now, something to also talk about here on the daily chart is what happens whenever we see this MACD cross come into play. There's a MACD cross coming into play on the daily chart, and it's probably coming into play tomorrow. When we see tomorrow's candlestick open, we will likely have seen the MACD cross above the signal line, and that will be wonderful. Sorry, the signal line cross above the MACD line, and that will be wonderful. On top of that, RSI has jumped up here into bullish territory. It is now sitting at 56. That's great. We love to see it. That's wonderful. So again, the strategy, what do we do with this? Well, you need to first figure out what your levels are that you are looking for Bitcoin to reject from, or for it to be embattled around. Bitcoin is obviously fighting around $23,600 and $23,600 and change. That is a level that is likely constituted by these levels right over here, which is at $23,600, basically exactly. What you would do from here is you would probably end up setting a buy order somewhere like right here, maybe at $23,750. And then you would have a very conservative trailing stop loss. When you're trying to catch a massive rally like this, especially one that kind of came out of the blue and you can't explain that well fundamentally other than a piece of news, which I'm about to talk about, then you really want to have conservative stop losses, guys. You want to take your 3% gain and you want to walk with it. You want to take your 27% gain and you want to walk with it even if you could have gotten 53. You don't want to get greedy. You want to take what you can get and not pitch a fit. So if it breaks above, I'd say probably 23,750, and it stays up there for a little while, then you could consider entering a buy order, and I'm talking like a 0.5% stop loss, or a very conservative stop loss, or a trailing stop loss of $300, $400, $500, whatever it may be. But keep in mind, and this is the tricky thing, if you are buying right now, you are buying at a very inopportune time. If you are buying right now, you have bought after this rally has already occurred, and you are buying on an extreme amount of risk. If you are buying in a moment like this, hoping to go into a long, you are either gambling or you are a noob and you need to learn, and this might be a way of you losing some money and you learning a lesson of being very careful. Or, and this is where I think a lot of you guys are, but be careful, you could be an expert. You could be a trading expert, and you know exactly what you're doing. Be careful. I'm warning you, be careful. You typically don't want to buy a market that's already rallied $3,500 for a short-term trade. As far as if you want to invest in it, by all means, go for it. This is just another indication that Bitcoin's going to have a good year, even if a hard one. But if you are considering buying this market for the sake of longing it, please be very careful. Now, what would we want to look for here? What I would want to look for here is actually a correction of some kind. We've rallied into the reversal zone. I wouldn't mind at all Bitcoin rallying straight up here to 24.5. That would also be the top of the reversal zone on the 4-hourly chart, which 4-hourly chart's really kind of where you're going to want to camp out for right now. I would not mind at all this rallying to 24.5, having a correction, and then after that correction is over, when we see confirmation of a bottom, then boom, you have a long entry position, and it could be at the same level that we're at right now. See how that works? I mean, if you rally up further and then you correct back down to where we are now, and then you have a long entry and you're $200 higher than where we are now, but you have confirmation that the market has reset and recuperated, then that's something to be excited about. But guys, I mean, there is potentially opportunity here buying on the longer term, buying on the 4-hourly chart, but you are risking it. You are risking it quite severely. Now, one thing to also mention here is that on VRVP, out on daily chart, we have managed to get above something called the POC. The POC is what's known as the point of control, and the point of control is very important because it is essentially the middle point around which the entire market revolves. At the moment, the POC, as outlined and denoted by the VRVP here on the daily chart, the POC is sitting at $22,900. We are above that. We did fall dramatically below it, but we didn't stay down there. That's the encouraging thing. Bitcoin did not stay down there. Instead, Bitcoin has gone through a major rally and has corrected straight back up to it. Again, I'm going to talk about some of the reasons that may have happened relatively soon. By the way, if you're enjoying today's stream, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the post notification bell so you won't miss a single video. And also make sure to go and check our video that I uploaded last Saturday about why the Fed is causing $17 trillion of stock market valuation to out of existence. Biggest financial magic trick that we've ever seen in the history of the stock market. Make sure to check that out. I think you'll greatly enjoy that video. But again, what do we do here? What I'm doing here, I'll tell you what I'm doing. Like I said, I've been in the market for almost 6 years now. I watch this market almost every single day. Ever since I got married, I do take weekends, but pretty much every single day I watch the market to some degree. I normally still check CoinMarketCap on the weekends and look around a little bit. But in that time that I've been watching the space, I've watched rallies like this happen so many times. And oftentimes, what is occurring is that Bitcoin is trying to test the waters, and the bulls are seeing, do we still have it? Do we still have the spunk that we had a month ago? Do we still have that stuff that we had a year ago? And sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes the answer is no. That's where fundamental analysis and sentiment analysis comes into play. But one of the ways that you define that the bulls do still have it is by them breaking new highs. So what I'm looking for here is I want to see Bitcoin break above this high at 25,236. But frankly, wouldn't the market look a little bit strange if it did? Wouldn't it look a little bit odd if our two major defining trend lines were this and this? That's what's known as a megaphone pattern, and that is possible. That is feasible. But with the demanding degree of that angle, it necessitates huge volatility. It necessitates us pretty much never going back and backtesting this downtrend, which would be great. I'd love to see Bitcoin never go to $20,000 ever again. But to do that, we need to rally $27,000 or $28,000 in just the next month. Does Bitcoin have the strength for that? That's where we have to start asking the question. Okay, sure, we had the strength to bounce and rally back to where we were 2 weeks ago, because obviously 2 weeks ago we had the strength to be here. So great, okay, we still have the strength to be here, but do we have the strength to go higher? That's what I'm really curious about. And that's where some of the rest of our analysis comes into play, because as you guys know, there has been bls.gov/CPI. There we go. There has been a almost like a cycle going on in crypto over the last several months, and that has had to do with the halvings. I'm sorry, not the halvings. It is similar to the halvings. That has had to do with the CPI data report. As you guys know, CPI came out last month, February 14th on Valentine's Day, and CPI dropped all of 0.1%. If you remember, a lot of that had to do with fuel oil. That was not a very sharp decline, to be totally honest with you. And Bitcoin did go through a small rally for a few days. In fact, we rallied $3,000 in 3 days. Sound familiar? It does to me. We are seeing a CPI report drop tomorrow at 8:30 a.m., and I will be sure to talk about it here on Coffee and Crypto Live. That's what we do. We talk about these kind of things. But just to make sure that our hopes are not too high and balanced, because there are some reasons to think that we could see a big drop. There are some reasons to think we could see a small drop. We have seen a decrease in the size of the drops. We were seeing like 0.7, 0.8% drops on CPI. Right now, last month, we saw a 0.1% drop on all items. Excuse me. Before that, we saw a 0.6% drop. We went from 7.1 to 6.5. Then we went from 6.5 to 6.4. That looks like a bottoming. Just think about it in that, like, think you have take a racquetball. You've got a racquetball, you got a slow-mo camera. See if you can visualize this with me. You take it, you chuck it into the ground. Like, you just, boom, throw it into the concrete as fast as you can. At some point, it's going really fast, and then it's going really slow as it's compressing into the concrete, and then eventually it's going to go really slow to the upside, and eventually it's going to take off into outer space, because have you ever played with one of those things? Things go everywhere. Just, boom, it goes like 30 feet in the air. Throw it on top of the building. It's a skyscraper. That is kind of what the market kind of looks like we're seeing happen on the month-over-month CPI data change. We were seeing a just plummet, and now it's like it's compressing to get ready to jump back to the upside. So I'm not, just the basic trend, just the very simplest trend analysis kind of looks like the CPI is not going to be dropping super fast anymore. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that if we look at US CPI data over on TradingView, then you will see something mildly encouraging. And that is that, now this is not the actual percentage change. This is the actual number, because of course to have a percentage change, you have to have a number that you base it off of. This is US CPI. I should make a video on this and its impact on Bitcoin. US CPI, moonshot. Just, we're talking about went on a giant bull market. 14% in a year and a half. Wow. Only your stocks did that anymore anyway. CPI helped with that a couple years ago. Rallied 36 points. Woo, lovely. Added 15% in a year and a half. That was, on average, almost 1% a month. That's where we were getting our 10% inflation from, was during the height of this, the height of the 12-month over month period here, like these 4 months right here. In 12 months, 8.4%. That's where you were getting those high inflation numbers. Well, now those lower inflation numbers are coming from here. If you look at 12 months back and you just extrapolate, this is where we saw the 6.5%. You see? 6.4%. You can see it showing up right here on the chart. 6.48%. I'm not drawing it exactly perfectly, but this is 12 months of data, 6.4%. The question now becomes, what does the next data tick have for us? Because if we just drew from the last 11 months, then Bitcoin would be only up 5.5%. So pretty big drop there, just because so much of the data is falling off here because of the 12-month moving average. I mean, literally, you want the CPI? Here, I'll give you the CPI. Let's grab a moving average, take this, set it to 12, turn it on, and you will kind of have some kind of idea of what CPI is. You just look at how much it changes. How much does it go up? And then you kind of do some analysis there. That's not exactly how it works, of course. But my point is that whenever you see a big jump on CPI and a big jump that is falling off, that's great, but you're not going to see a drop in the CPI. What you need to see is you need to see flat up here and more of this data trailing off. When you're going to start seeing flat CPI, and here's my prediction, is June. Why? Because you're probably going to see CPI drop dramatically up to June. Until that point in time, though, how much is it going to drop when you see the supply chains collapsing around the world? Now, the difficult thing with that is that the supply chains collapsing around the world and deglobalization will take time, and that will drive very real inflation, but that will probably kick into hyperspeed over the next 2 years, not so much right now. So you will see a drop in CPI, and this is something that we can, in a way, sort of count on over the next couple of months, because we have these 3 months of data to drop off of 4% total inflation, give or take. So what we're probably going to see is a drop on inflation down maybe 0.4%. And if that occurs tomorrow, then you will see a major jump on Bitcoin. The tricky thing for me here, guys, is that whenever Bitcoin jumps on CPI data, that's not really Bitcoin jumping on its own laurels. That's Bitcoin. That's not Bitcoin jumping on its own merit. That's Bitcoin resting on its laurels and jumping because the market says so, because the inflation is coming under control. And that's great that inflation is coming under control. If you remember the chart we were just looking at, take a look at the chart here. When did the inflation stop getting so bad? When did the inflation start calming down? June 1st. Compare that to U.S. Central Bank balance sheet. That is the CPI data. The balance sheet. As soon as the balance sheet started coming down, and as soon as the effective federal funds rate, let's also turn the EFFR on here. As soon as the EFFR started going up, then you saw the inflation start getting under control. These are the two metrics that the Fed uses to manipulate inflation, and you can see that they had a pretty immediate impact. You saw that the interest rates started rallying, balance sheet started going down right around the same time. 2 months on, started going down April 1st of last month. Everybody thought it was a joke. Haha, no, it's not. $9 trillion is vanishing. And then inflation started getting under control. Here's the deal, though. If somehow inflation does get under control and starts going to the downside, maybe not in a real sense, but at least according to CPI. Because let's be honest, CPI does not capture everything to do with inflation. If CPI nominally starts to flatline and hit that target 2% that they're looking at, then they could reverse these things and we could go back into a lower interest rate market and quantitative flatlining, if you will, and then maybe quantitative easing at some point in the future as well. But anyway, I suppose my point that I'm trying to make here is that Bitcoin does have a few more months of harvest to reap from the CPI going down, but that's only going to last for so long, and then Bitcoin's going to have to start rallying of its own accord because CPI will have dropped all that way. I do think you'll see CPI drop down to 2 or 3% over the probably maybe in the 3 to 4% range over the next 6 months, because we're probably going to see more inflation over the next several months on its own, because of course that CPI line is not flatlined right now. It is still moving up slightly. They try and bake in 2% inflation into the economy. But nevertheless, Bitcoin's going to have to rally of its own accord. Now, that's difficult because of this. If you remember the video I made on Saturday, again, if you haven't watched it, you should. I think it was a really handy one. Bitcoin is highly correlated to the United States stock market. And right now, the United States stock market is in the process of shedding $17 trillion in valuation. The average American is in the process of losing, on average, tens of thousands of dollars of net worth in their home. I mean, for example, our home, since we bought it, and I knew the housing prices were about to go down because we were looking at the housing market, but we bought it because the interest rates hadn't gone up yet. So we bought it, we got 5 1/8% on interest rates because I knew interest rates were going to 7 or 8%. I was like, I don't want to try and pay for that, so we're going to go ahead and get it at a premium. We'll pay a little bit more than we will in 6 months, 12 months, but we'll get lower interest rates. We'll have a lower monthly payment on the house. So we were pretty happy about that. But right now, that our home has gone down in value by, what, maybe 5-6%? And that's not really concerning to us because we're not upside down. We're not planning on selling anytime soon. But the housing market is struggling, and that does lead to a real decline in the net worth of the average American when they see that kind of thing take place. And the stock market is too. And when people see their net worth in mint going down, they are much less inclined to want to go ahead and buy Bitcoin because they have less equity in their home, not because they took out a second mortgage, but because the value of their home went down. So that ends up making people a lot more skeptical to buy into Bitcoin, and in a real sense, it makes them much less able to buy into Bitcoin because they don't have the money that they did. It's the reason the thumbnail from Saturday's video said, your retirement, gone. How many people are trying to retire this decade? That's a question. Try tens of millions in the United States. The boomer on average, retired, moved into retirement age, so 65, last December. You have millions of people trying to retire right now. And while they're trying to retire, guess what's happening to their portfolio? The stock market is down from all-time high 20%, and it is flatlining. It is continuing to correct. Now, keep in mind, we are still up here at a plateau. That's why I say there's more to go. There probably is quite a lot more evisceration to take place from the stock market because this stock market is propped up with trillions of dollars of quantitative easing on the Federal Reserve's balance sheet. As that rolls off, so too will this, and you will see a continued bear market in the stock market for probably a couple of years, which will allow all of you guys that didn't want to buy up here at 480 points on the S&P 500 ETF Trust to buy down here at 338. It'll allow you guys to buy the DJI much lower than it is right now, the QQQ much lower than it is right now. All your favorite tech stocks, maybe don't buy a lot of them right now, but could allow for that kind of thing to take place. The point is, the stock market is suffering badly from the quantitative easing and liquidity that was injected into the market that caused this bull market in stocks in the first place be pulled out. Like, you can build a skyscraper 50 stories tall, but then you take the steel out, and what happens? The whole thing's going to fall apart. This market was, Wall Street built this massive rally on the backs of inflation that took place on Main Street. And that's not Wall Street's fault. And that's not Main Street's fault. That is the Fed's fault and the people that shut down the entire global economy. Look, I understand. I'm not wading into how the pandemic should have been handled because I realize human lives are more important than money. I definitely think that. I'm far, 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 far in that camp. But the fact is, the lockdowns led to such dramatic catastrophe and cataclysm in our economy in the span of 2 or 3 months that the only way that the Fed saw that they could combat it was by printing $5 trillion on the by buying treasuries and mortgage-backed securities by inflating the balance sheet. In doing so, they built a stock market that never should have been at these levels in the first place. Through natural growth, the stock market shouldn't have been here. Stock market shouldn't have gotten to this level right here. They should have probably, the stock market probably should have gotten to this level like right here. You see? We rallied like this from 2016 when the Fed started increasing the balance sheet. Don't believe me? Check it out. Balance sheet flattened out. That's great. Had some tumult. Then you saw this happen. Instead of rallying like that, Bitcoin, the stock market probably should have rallied like that. And so now it's correcting back to the mean because the stock market is going to grow on its own regardless of inflation. Inflation is not the only driver of the stock market. Although a lot of that inflation is the driver of the stock market. But the stock market got too far outside of its general band, and now it's correcting back down to the mean, and it'll probably overcorrect, and then it'll bounce, and you'll have a massive buying opportunity here in about a year. Here in about a year, by the way, if you have cash, you are going to make a ton of money if you buy stocks and real estate. Just boom, putting that out there. You want some free investment ideas. Buy real estate and stocks here in about a year, and make sure you don't buy it with debt, especially the stocks. Who would do that? A lot of people. But the real estate, if you could buy real estate here in, give it 12 months with no debt, so you're not having to pay the very high interest rates that will probably still be around at that point in time, you're going to do very well for yourself because the housing market is probably going to go through another major correction. So again, how does all of this impact Bitcoin? Well, you have to go and watch the video on Saturday to understand fully, but I will give you the best take that I can in the short time here that we have left. Bitcoin is highly correlated and I would argue driven by the United States stock market. If we just bring up the SPY here, and I compare the SPY, again, we went into a lot more detail on this on the video. Make sure to go back and check that out. But the SPY is one of the major drivers of Bitcoin. When the SPY is struggling, so too does Bitcoin. When the SPY is moonshotting, so too does Bitcoin. Right now, the SPY is struggling. You look at the daily chart. SPY is struggling bad. It's struggling a lot. And it's doing so because, yes, inflation's coming down, but the global business market's a lot harder, guys. This is not the only factor that matters. This right here, CPI, is not the only metric that matters. You know what matters? When businesses around the world are no longer able to deal with Russia, who is the largest supplier of raw resources for many categories in the entire world, where many of these businesses that have been doing most of their manufacturing in China now no longer, one, can manufacture in China, but two, they can't even get their assets and their people out of China. When there's a Cold War forming and businesses are having to pick sides, they're having to say, this didn't happen post-World War II. You know why? Because all the businesses that were on the wrong side of the war died. They ceased to exist. Unless you're Rheinmetall or Porsche or Volkswagen. But those companies were resurrected for the betterment of the German people so that they wouldn't be in poverty. That didn't happen for a lot of companies. A lot of companies, if they picked the wrong side, they lost, period. You didn't play both sides unless you're Coca-Cola with Fanta. That's an interesting story you can go and look into on your own. Right now, a lot of these companies that have been used to a fully, and I do mean fully, globalized system for the last 30 years, every single nation on the planet has been able to participate if they wanted to. That's going away. And no longer do they just have to say, okay, well, North Korea and Somalia are off the table. Now they have to say, wow, about 2 billion people are off the table for doing business and for being human capital, for the sake of manufacturing and for the sake of raw resource generation. Because if we want to not undergo sanctions from our own home country, and if we don't want to be labeled a traitor by the Democrats and the Republicans, because everybody hates China now, that's happened recently, then they have to pick a side. And most of them are not going to pick the Chinese side as much as the Chinese think they will, because China thinks it's hot stuff, but it's nothing close to the rest of the world that's integrated fully. When that happens, that drives a very difficult business market. Remember, the SPY is not just driven by inflation, although that is one of the big things that drives it. The SPY is driven by businesses and their profit margins. And most of the businesses are struggling, even the big players. Tech is struggling. Manufacturing is doing great, but in a very stressful way on the market. For Bitcoin to go into a major rally, it needs stocks. It does. I mean, you might not like me saying that from an ideological point of view. Bitcoin doesn't need stocks. It doesn't technically need stocks to go into a big rally. But it does need investment. And the investors that are going to invest in Bitcoin are also in the stock market. And if they're losing money in stocks, why would they put money in Bitcoin? It really is that simple. I love Bitcoin, and I am a huge Bitcoin fan, and I'm not here to dump on Bitcoin just because it has a correlation to the stocks. I have no problem with that. I'm fine with Bitcoin being correlated with the stock market. It probably will be for a long time because the stock market is the thing that drives every single other market in the world, generally speaking. But it does mean that if there's a major buying opportunity coming into play in a year on stocks, then there's probably a good buying opportunity on Bitcoin as well. Now, I think Bitcoin will be doing better than the stock market. I think it will largely decouple because of certain factors within it. But in general, and even during this time right now, and this is what I really want to warn you about, stocks are moving down. Bitcoin's moving up. That's a counter trend. Bitcoin's going against the grain with the stocks. You look at Dixie. Bitcoin's going against the grain with Dixie. Actually, I take that back. I am so sorry. I am mistaken. The Dixie has actually dropped quite substantially, and that's one of the things that's driven this market. I apologize. I didn't realize that. I just completely blanked there. But it is at least going against stocks. So it's going with Dixie, and it's probably going to be going with CPI. So keep those things in mind, and also keep in mind that it is going against stocks, and generally speaking, when you go against stocks, you're going to have a hard time. But the Dixie moving to the downside is the, I'm sorry, I was thinking about a different chart. When the Dixie is moving to the downside, that is going to help Bitcoin quite dramatically. So generally speaking, what's my take here? We're likely to see a CPI drop anyway, probably less than 0.5% tomorrow, as a result of mainly not as a result of the economy getting any more stable right now, but as a result of egg prices going down, because believe it or not, that is a big part of what was driving CPI. And also gasoline still stabilizing around 330, 320, 330 is what I'm seeing it at around where I am. Now it's different around the world, around the nation. And also that data from last year starting to tail off. So you're going to see a drop, and that's probably going to lead to a big rally on Bitcoin tomorrow. As far as strategy, I think there is absolutely a strategy to buy the rumor, sell the news. That buy the rumor, and when CPI drops at 8:30, see what the market does, be in a very tight stop loss, be ready to sell, have a trailing stop loss of a few $100s and make some money. I mean, Bitcoin had a $3,000 rally just off of 0.1% CPI news last month. We saw a huge rally, multiple $7,000 off of CPI news in January. There is a little bit of a harvest coming tomorrow. There is probably going to be a big rally, and I could see Bitcoin trading at 25,236 tomorrow, and I'm not going to sit here and be a naysayer of that. But as I said, the point of this stream today was for me to just rain on the parade a little bit so that we didn't get overly excited, make sure that we had our FOMO and our FUD how shall I say, managed, I suppose, by facts. Not mitigated, but managed, I suppose, managed by the facts. What are the facts saying? The facts are saying that this is going to be a hard year for Bitcoin as a result of it being a hard year for stocks. But because of the Dixie going down and because of CPI data dropping tomorrow, Bitcoin probably will have quite a fun time. So there you go. That's my take. I will go ahead and answer some questions now and see what you guys think about all of that. Let's see. My property value has gone up, not down in Florida right now, still making gains on it. Yes, property value is up quite substantially. And I actually think the, what is it, Zillow, I think we look at, that estimates the value of our house. I actually don't think it's accurate because our neighbor actually just sold a house for like tens of thousands of dollars more than what we bought our house for. So I think that's actually a inaccurate estimation. I think we could probably at least break even on our house right now. Not that we're planning on selling it for anytime soon. I remember when we bought the house, I was like, Sarah, don't worry, here in 6 months, it's going to probably be a little bit less in value. That's the plan. But the interest rates are going to be so much higher that we would actually end up spending more money if we bought this house in 6 months, despite it being less expensive, because interest rates going up 1% change your monthly payment by hundreds of dollars. Goodness. This crazy attitude of the Fed gives a good name to Bitcoin. Today is the case. Yep. For those who have ears to hear. Anyway, many people are going to look at the Fed saying, look, they're shrinking the balance sheet. They're raising interest rates. This hurts in the short term, but they're helping the economy. They're helping, not the economy. They're helping the US dollar be stable, and they're patriots. And a lot of people aren't like that. But if people do start to see the Fed as the hero, then where does Bitcoin fall into that? I suppose in reality, Bitcoin is kind of the hero in that, but that's kind of the question, isn't it? How does that reaction go? All right, guys, I really hope you're enjoying today's stream. If you are, I want you to do a couple of things. First and foremost, hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss a single stream. And also make sure to sign up for Lux Algo using coupon code Jebb, J-E-B-B, with the link in the description box down below. You will be so glad you did. And also, go to our website, cryptojebb.com. Check it out over here. I think you'll have a lot of fun scrolling around, looking at the different pages here and reading some of the things I have to say about the way the world works and about cryptocurrencies. You can see our core values and some of the guests that we've had on our channel. We've had some amazing guests. Michael Saylor's been on our channel. We've had Charles Hoskinson, Kevin O'Leary, a few different big names on our channel that I think you guys would enjoy to go back and watch those live stream, interviews on the channel. And also make sure to check out Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. If you come there to the website, click that and scroll down, you will see Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. This is the academy where we teach you everything you need to know about technical analysis so that you can go and profit in your journey here in the cryptocurrency space. Guys, Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis is the successor to something called CT2A. That was the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, and CT2A helped to teach over 5,000 students how to become expert technical analysts so that they could go forth and trade and invest properly in the cryptocurrency markets. The wonderful thing about technical analysis is it's the way that you understand what the market is trying to tell you. At any given moment, the market is trying to tell you exactly where it's going. Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it going up very quickly? Is it going down very quickly? Is it going to have a bullish year? Is it going to have a bearish year? Bitcoin is telling you these things. And the way that you have ears to hear, the way that you understand what it's telling you is by understanding how to listen to it. As a husband, I have to learn how to listen to my wife and understand what she's telling me in the market, to understand what the market is telling me so that then I can go be a good steward of my relationship with the market or my relationship with my wife. I have to be a good listener, right? The way you listen to the market, the way you communicate with the market is through technical analysis, because that's your understanding so that you can then understand what the market is telling you. You read the price action and you say, this is happening here. This is happening here. This is happening here. This is saying this. The market at all times is shouting at you. But unless you understand how to decipher it, it just sounds like white noise. But if you understand how to decipher it, there is a treasure trove of information there, but only if you know technical analysis. And I firmly believe that Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis is hands down, bar none, the absolute best place in the entire cryptocurrency space to learn TA. And that is a bold statement, but it's one that I think we can back up with the fact that we've been teaching people how to do technical analysis successfully for over half a decade, and you could be the very next one. So make sure to check out cryptojebb.com, or you can go to bitcoinacademy.teachable.com, and you can go to Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis, and you can sign up today and get access to over 60 videos teaching you everything that you need to know about the art of technical analysis so that you can go and make your millions in cryptocurrency if you put your mind to it. I know that you can. Also, if you're a former CT2A member, CT2A alumni, you have a 25% off coupon code waiting for you. Just make sure to shoot us an email, support@cryptojebb.com. We will get that for you. And if you were in Club DeFi's beta when we were testing out the subscriptionary model, we decided to move away from that. It is a one-time, lifetime payment model now. But if you were a member of of Club DeFi's subscriptionary beta, then you can use however much money you put into the beta as a coupon code to get access to Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. Shoot us an email, support@cryptojebb.com, and we will get that generated for you as well. I'm very confident that if you understand technical analysis, your odds of making a lot of money in this cryptocurrency space go up dramatically. It's that simple. I think it's worth every single penny. So make sure to check it out. All right, let's read some chat. This is probably my favorite part of the entire stream, is just reading chat and interacting with you guys. The Classic IT guy said, hashtag FinSov. Absolutely, hashtag FinSov. Grand Roofing Incorporated said, CT2A was good. Thank you, Grand Roofing. Thank you so much. People loved CT2A. All right. Lux Algo in chat. What's up, Lux Algo? Good to see you, Sean. I'm assuming that's Sean. It might be somebody else with the YouTube channel. Guys, make sure to go check out Lux Algo on YouTube. They have some absolutely awesome videos over there. All right. Let's see. So the stock market has a downtrend the next couple of years, so will Bitcoin. I don't think Bitcoin will have a downtrend the next couple of years. I do think it'll continue to grow, but I think it'll have a harder time growing. Jebb, is it possible for CPI tomorrow to actually be less than forecasted? Any chance at all manipulation? Maybe. Absolutely it is. And that's what I'm saying. I want to be a little bit careful of saying that CPI is going to go down to 3 or 4%. Because we just don't know that. And there are still a lot of very inflationary factors going on right now. Massive, massive amount of inflationary factors going on. All right. Bitcoin is a live sentient AI program from the future. Not sure about that, but if you watch our interview with Michael Saylor, I defined it as the first thermodynamically sound superconducting digital currency in the history of mankind. And that essentially means that you can transact it anywhere, anyhow, any why for nothing, more or less, fee-wise, and it happens instantaneously and it's totally secure. And when you put value into it, it won't leak out through off-gassing, if you will. It will maintain its value in a thermodynamically sound pretty much for all of time. It's a very, very, very big value proposition that I think is worth 20, 30, 50 trillion dollars, somewhere in there. That's about what the United States stock market is. So just keep that in mind. Now, it'll take half a century to get there, but I do believe that'll take place. Jebb is talking about DCAing into stocks and property. Yeah, if you're trying to make money, I think there's a lot of money in that. You're calling another 30% correction in the stock market, but you're buying now. That's not what I'm saying. I think the stock market would, I don't think there's anything wrong with buying the stock market right now because you can dollar cost average, but I do think that it'll come back down further at this point. And if it doesn't, that just means that eventually it's going to have to. That's the thing, is that if the stock market doesn't go through that kind of correction, it just means that it is going to have to. Justin Eubanks like that. So you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. Oh, man. Okay. Xenodermis in chat. Cool name. Said likes for Jebb. Matt C's in chat. Thank you so much, guys. John Doe said smart advice, Jebb. Thank you. Hashtag not financial. Wait, what? Does anybody know if what Jack Mehofer said was true? That's horrible. I'm going to have to look into that and make sure he's okay. Man, I know Crypto Savvy. Gosh, I'm going to have to check that out. I don't want to repeat what you said just in case that's not true, but yeah, check out and see if Crypto Savvy is doing okay. Not that I'm calling you a liar, by the way, but I mean, people do spread misinformation, and I remember who is it? Sylvester Stallone died last week, and then he like saw the article, and he's like, if I'm dead, how am I reading this? Oh man. Okay. Let's go ahead and put you in timeout there. All right, is it not creating a massive head and shoulders? Yeah, it kind of is. And that's what, if you remember, last week, that's what I was talking about. It was a huge head and shoulders, so keep that in mind. All right, guys. Well, I am going to have to go. I really do hope you guys enjoyed today's stream, and we've got some cool things that we're working on today, so I cannot wait for you to see them. You are going to love what we have coming around the corner, guys. The next few months are going to be really exciting. Of course, we're welcoming a baby into the world. That's awesome. It's so cool. And, of course, that's going to take a lot of work there for a little while, but we've got a lot of things planned for the channel as well, and I just can't wait to show you guys. For now, though, I am going to have to go. Before I do, though, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and signing up for Club DeFi. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.